back to Jeff Kenyan live here at Citizen Television. We're going to go straight to New York City for our next interview. Ole Pertet has been living in New York for the last 4 decades, and he was shocked to learn that he had the virus. By the way, New York City right now, more than 1 million confirmed cases. 1 in every 3 people on the planet in America has 1/3 of those. Imagine that. So Ole Pertet joins us live from New York City. Good to see you, my friend. So tell us, when did this happen?
This happened in the beginning of March. And a lot of people are not even aware about how bad this coronavirus is. So I was the first guy to fall sick for this dreadful disease.
So what happened? Were you taking an ambulance? Did you walk your way into a hospital? What happened?
Actually, what happened was the first day when I was at home, we had a barbecue, nice ribeye, and after the barbecue, I didn't feel like eating it. And you know, that's very strange for a Maasai not to eat a ribeye. So I went to bed and I started spiking temperatures. And then a couple of days later, it was really bad. I was hitting like 103, 104. So my daughter called me and she kind of felt that I wasn't feeling good. So she called the ambulance. The ambulance came to the apartment. In all that confusion, in the complex that I live in, I could see ambulances all over the police, the firemen and everything. It was like a zombie town. So they take, in the confusion, and I ended up in Bellevue. And as you know, Jeff, Bellevue is a city hospital, places where a lot of homeless people go. I mean, it's a good hospital, but it's people without insurance and all that. I ended up there. So I go there, find a doctor, they do the test for coronavirus, and they told me, even without the test, we know you got it because you got all the symptoms. So for one thing, the test itself is critical. You know, they shove things in your nose and your throat, comes out bleeding. You know, it's rough. I hope you guys do it better in Kenya. So I'm laying there down, being sorted out in the triad, in the ER. I ended up getting a room upstairs. So I spent 1 day downstairs. I go upstairs, and now I got my own room, but you're kept two because there were a lot of people. 3 days later, a doctor comes and tells me, you gotta go home. I said, go home? And I'm like, are you sending me home to die? And she was laughing. I told her, this is not a laughing matter. She said, no, you gotta go home. This is the big issue. Even now, we're still following through. I don't know why they sent me home with a temperature of 104. That's like 30, what in Celsius?
About 39, about 38, 39, yeah.
Absolutely, very critical. So I come home, I walk out of the hospital. First of all, no hospital should release you with a temperature. And besides, you're supposed to get a wheelchair and given to your next of kin or your people to take you home. They didn't do that. So I ran into a policeman and thought that was a guy just walked in, a homeless guy or somebody walked in a hospital. So he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm being discharged. He said, I don't believe you. So I showed him my paperwork of discharge. He said, okay, but this is strange. So I go to 23rd and First Avenue, you know, Jeff, that is. And I'm walking like a zombie, I'm telling you. This thing affects your mind and everything. But I managed to catch a cab back home. I came home and went straight to bed. No energy, nothing. And for 3 days, I didn't even want to mess up with the ambulance or hospital no more. Then my daughter, who's a lawyer, Lisa, thank her, she called, you know, she couldn't come home because, you know, I probably contaminated her. So I told her, I didn't tell her, she said, Dad, I'm calling for the ambulance right now and now. So she calls one, and I said, this time I'm going to the best hospital, one of the best top 5 in the US, which is Cornell Presbyterian. So they take me there, and these people are really nice. They say, even with all the tests, we know what you got. So they started giving me the hydroxychloroquine and Z-Max antibiotics. But let me tell you, when I left the house, that didn't matter at all. What mattered was the oxygen the guys in the ambulance gave me. I was actually, halfway dead. You know, your oxygen level should never fall below 90. I think I was in the 70s. You know, So that gave me a little relief. I went to the hospital. They hooked me up, everything. No ventilators, because that's another stage, and I'll explain that later. So they checked me and gave me the medication. They said, we don't know whether it's going to help you or not, but this is all we got. I said, okay, let's go. So I got the chloroquine medication. One thing I knew probably wouldn't harm me, because I already had it in Kenya, because a lot of people are dying from it because of allergy and other stuff. But I knew if it doesn't cure me, it won't kill me. So that was the situation. So I finished that in about 5 days, and the temperature was still spiking, and I'm falling in and out of life. I think I crossed the other side at one time. I remember hallucinating. There was a lot of reggae, let me tell you. That's the good part. So, funny enough, I enjoyed the reggae. You know, some people had funny stories, but really, my reggae was going. I met Bob Marley. You know, we had fun. You know, we smoked some ganja. You know, it was crazy, seriously crazy.
Right.
So, and the funny thing, even when they put you in the hospital, in these good hospitals, they lock you in, but they use remotes. Your high blood pressure is hooked up there. Your oxygen is put in your finger. The EKG is hooked. So they don't want to mess with you also. You know, it's like in the Bible, those people had the leper disease. Yeah. And they put 2 people in a room. So the first room I went to, the first guy dies out. What? You know, so they moved me from that room to clean up the room. And then I go to the next room. And this time, it was a lady. They didn't care whether they put you in a lady or a man, because there were no rooms. We were the first people to fall sick. So that lady also comes out. And I'm like, wow, this is getting serious. I go to the next room. And then there was another guy, Jamaican guy. He passes out.
Oh, my goodness.
So I go to the 4th room, and this is the 8th day. And somehow my temperature just leveled up in a normal temperature, but it's still on oxygen. And then I could hear the next guy, they were telling him, you know, you're getting 100% oxygen, but you know, your body's not responding, so we don't know what to do. They intubated him, but he passed away anyway. Cool. So I was like, whoa, intubation is bad news. So, because you're halfway in a coma anyway. So when I moved to the next room, I was doing much better. I was responding to oxygen up to 98 level. When I'm on oxygen, if they pull it out, it goes down. But on the 8th day, the temperature stopped. So they told me, okay, you're good now, but we still got to pull out the oxygen to see whether you can maintain at least 90, 92. So for the 2 days, I was able to maintain the oxygen level, and they let me go home. Now coming home is self-quarantine. You lock yourself in your room. If you got your girlfriend or whatever, you don't meet them, you know. So it's not like mandatory. But you can still go to, you know, Whole Foods and buy something, but you gotta have a mask on and gloves. So we don't have like the curfew in Kenya, you know. But I'll tell you, Jeff, if you come to the city, there are no cars, nobody, even during the day. It's like a ghost town.
You know, I was gonna ask you that, Pertet. You lived in New York City for the last 4 decades. You know, New York is crowds, it's cars, it's noise, it's crazy, it's lights, it's all that. To see it as a ghost town, how does that make you feel?
It's surreal, let me tell you, because what I went through, it's like I have a new lease of life, because this city, to see no cars, nobody, even right now, you could hear normal, you know, sirens and stuff like that. It's deadly quiet. And if you saw people that were walking like zombies, because what coronavirus does, it depletes your oxygen level. So, and it also gives you some pneumonia. And that's why some people succumb to these diseases, you know. So I had all that, but somehow I dodged the bullet. Thank God, you know. You
did indeed. And by the way, you were talking about your daughter and your family members who you interacted with. Are they okay?
Absolutely. Everybody's fine, you know. And let me tell you, we have a lot of Kenyans. Some of them, I talked to about 3 that got sick and, I mean, never went to the hospital and they got okay.
At the same time, our Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary has said that 18 Kenyans in the U.S. have died from the coronavirus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When I was in the hospital, just before I went in, there's a guy from Kenya who died. He worked at the JFK. I think he was from Mombasa, the name Juma. Quite a few have died, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do
you consider yourself lucky, Pertet?
Absolutely, man. I got a new lease of life. I dodged the bullet. I thank God. And I'm telling you, when you get sick, you find God quick, man.
Pertet, when you see the numbers in the U.S., I mean, they had spiked like 4,000 plus a day. People die. Right now, more people have died in America than died in the Vietnam War.
I'm telling you, all this in less than 2 months. And number two, right now in the whole of the U.S., we are beating. Okay, I don't trust the Chinese numbers because we don't know for sure. But the deal is, New York right now is number one in number of people that have died. I think we're almost to 60,000 right now. The last time I checked.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's really scary. And I'll tell my people to listen to what they're being told because this disease is killing people.
Tell me something. A lot of Kenyans there, you and I know this, lots of Kenyans in the U.S., when they're watching you right now, what'd you tell them? What'd you tell them right now, having gone through this?
I'll tell them to stay at home and listen to what Governor Cuomo, I think the best guy right now is Governor Cuomo, our governor who's telling people every day what to do. And if you look at New York now, the number of people dying has subsided. But we are all, locked on lockdown. I don't know what's going to happen when we all come out, and that's the other part. So it probably will spike up a little bit again. And for all my brothers and sisters here in the U.S., do as they tell you. Stay at home, wear a mask, wash your hands, don't go visiting other people, stay where you are.
Yeah, and what do you tell your fellow Maasai in Kajiado, Ole Pertet? What do you tell them?
Well, I pray for them because I know for one thing, if this thing, has an outbreak there, it's very hard to maintain. If you see, this country is one of the most advanced, but we have the highest numbers of deaths. So a place like Maasai Land, where water is another issue, I'll tell people to stay at home and stop partying like I'm seeing a lot of people trying to party in Kenya. This thing is deadly, completely. You can't mess with it. It will take your life away in a heartbeat.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And the numbers coming from where you are, Pertet, are scary.
Very scary.
But we're glad that you went through hell and came out smelling like roses, even though you met Bob Marley on the way.
Yeah, man. We had a party.
Pertet, good to talk to you, man. All the best, all right?
All right, my brother. Nice talking to you, and all the best.
Eh? You too, bro. You too.
And to all my fellow Kenyans, Barigani, and all my family and friends, hope to see you guys soon, as soon as they lift the skyways.
Absolutely.
I'll be back in Kenya, and thank you so much.
Good man. Ole Pertet there in New York City, lived through the virus, came out, still smiling. Little hallucination along the way, but he made it through. What a story. Let's go straight to feedback. Should we do that? Where is it? Oh, over there in the corner. Okay. Robert Kago on Twitter says Agnes Kali is a hero.